Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Students, in our live session, we have started with the determination of equilibrium income in the short run, correct? And as I've told you, in when we recall our macroeconomics theory, here we analyze equilibrium of demand and supply in a single market, correct? Whereas in macroeconomics theory, we proceed in two steps. Okay, the first step is we work out a macroeconomic equilibrium taking the price level as fixed. Okay, so this is the first type. Okay, here in our first step we take the price level as fixed. Okay, and in second stage we allow the price level to vary and again analyze the macroeconomic equilibrium. Okay, so these are the two stages. So as I've told you, in our first stage we take price level as fixed. Okay, and in our second stage we allow the price to vary and again we analyze the macroeconomic equilibrium. So when we keep this price level fixed, okay, the two reasons can be put forwarded. So first is at the first stage we are assuming an economy with unused resources. Okay, so in our first stage we are assuming an economy with unused resources such as machineries, building and laborers. Okay, and in a situation the law of diminishing return will not appear. Okay, so in such situation the law of diminishing return will not appear, hence additional output can be produced without increasing the marginal cost. Okay, accordingly price level does not vary even if the quantity produced changes. Okay, the price is fixed here. Okay, and the second point here is it is just a simplifying assumption which can be changed later. Okay, so first we will see the macroeconomic equilibrium with price level fixed. Okay, so under that we will see the geometric method. See, as I've told you, the consumer demand can be expressed by the equation C is equal to C bar plus CY, correct? So what is C bar here? What is the equilibrium? C is equal to C bar plus CY. Okay, this was told in my last class. Okay, now C bar is nothing but autonomous expenditure and C is the marginal propensity to consume, correct? Now we will see how we can relate this with the help of graph. Okay, so to answer this question we will need to recall the inticipient form of linear equation, which is y is equal to a plus bx. Okay, so here the variable are x and y and there is a linear relation between them. Okay, the variable here, this is there in page number 58 of your textbook. Okay, if the picture is not clear, please do refer your textbook. So here what are the variables? You have two variables here, that is x and y, and there is a linear relationship between them. Okay, and a and b are constant here. Okay, so this equation is the equation is depicted in this graph. Okay, so the constant a is shown as the inticipient on the y-axis. Okay, that is the value of y when x is 0. The constant b is the slope of the line. Can you all see? The constant b is the slope of the line. Okay. Now we will see the consumption function. Okay, it is the graphical representation of consumption function. So can you see the first one? Okay, this is also there in the same page in your textbook 58. Okay, so using the same logic the consumption function can be shown as following. Can you all see? Consumption function where C bar is equal to inticipient of consumption function and C is equal to slope of consumption function. Okay, next is investment function. Okay, investment function, the below this one down which is given. Okay, so this is the graphical representation of investment function. So in our assumption we have two sector model. Okay, so there are two sources of final demand. The first is consumption and the second is investment. So the investment function was shown as I is equal to I bar, correct? So graphically it is shown as the horizontal line at a height equal to I bar above the horizontal axis. Can you all see that? So in this model, I is autonomous, which means it is same no matter whatever is the level of income. Okay, whatever may be the income, but the investment is autonomous. Okay, so next is, okay, can you all see this? Yeah, this is shown already. Okay, next is aggregate demand. Okay, the graphical representation of aggregate demand. See, all this is done before. Okay, so the aggregate demand function shows the total demand. Okay, what is this total demand? It is made up of consumption plus investment at each level of income. So generally it means the aggregate demand function. Okay, and it can be obtained by vertically adding the consumption and investment function. Okay, here OM is equal to C bar. Okay, and OJ is equal to, you all see OM. Yeah, here OM is equal to C bar and OJ is equal to I bar and OL is equal to C bar plus I bar. Okay, I hope you can see that. So the aggregate demand function is parallel to the consumption function, that is they have the same slope, that is C. Okay, and you can also see that, or it may be noted that this function shows ex ante demand, that is the planned demand. Okay, this function shows the planned demand. Next is supply side of macroeconomic equilibrium. So in macroeconomic theory, we show the supply curve on diagram. Okay, or on a diagram with price on the vertical axis and quantity supplied on horizontal axis. Okay, so in the first stage of macroeconomic theory, we are taking the price level as fixed. Okay, here the aggregate supply or the GDP is assumed to be smoothly moving down. It is moving up or moving down since there are unused resources of all types available. Okay, so whatever is the level of GDP, that much will be supplied, and the price level has no role to play here. Okay, so this kind of supply situation is shown by a 45-degree line. Can you all see that 45-degree line? Okay, so now the 44-degree line has the feature that every point on it has the same horizontal and vertical. Okay, it has the same horizontal and vertical coordinates. Okay, next graph we have for equilibrium. So equilibrium is shown graphically by putting ex ante aggregate demand. Okay, ex ante aggregate demand means it is the planned aggregate demand and supply together in a diagram. So it is the planned demand and planned supply which is put together in a diagram. Okay, so equilibrium is shown as a graphical. It is shown with the help of graph. Okay, where you can see this planned demand and planned supply together in a diagram. So the point where the ex ante aggregate demand is equal to ex ante aggregate supply will be the equilibrium. Okay, so the point where the planned demand is equal to the planned supply will be the equilibrium. So thus equilibrium point is E here. Can you all see the point where the planned supply and planned demand meets? Okay, that is equilibrium point, and the point here is E, and equilibrium level of income is OY1. Okay, you can see that. So this is your OY1 and this is the equilibrium level of income. Okay, it is on the x-axis. So this ex ante aggregate demand is equal to I bar plus C bar plus CY. So ex ante aggregate supply, which is equal to Y. Can you all see? Okay. So here ex ante aggregate supply is equal to Y. So equilibrium requires that the plans of supplier are matched by the plans of those who provide final demand in the economy. Okay. So that means the planned supply should be equal to the planned demand in the economy. So thus this situation, that is ex ante aggregate demand is equal to ex ante aggregate supply. Okay. Okay, now we will see the effects on autonomous changes in aggregate demand on income and output. Okay, so what will be the effect on the autonomous changes in aggregate demand on income and output? So we all know that the equilibrium level of income depends on aggregate demand, isn't it? So if aggregate demand changes, then the equilibrium level of income changes. Okay, so this can happen in any one of the following situation. Okay, the first one is change in consumption. Okay, this can happen due to change in C bar. Okay, and change in C. Okay, second is change in investment. So when we assume that investment is autonomous, however, it just means that it does not depend upon income. Okay, that means the investment does not depend upon income. So there are a number of variables other than income which can affect investment. So one important factor is availability of credit, that is the easy availability of credit. Okay, it encourages investment, correct? Another factor is the interest rate. So interest rate is the close of invisible fund. Okay, and at high interest rate firm tend to low investment. So when the investment rate is very high, the firm will lower the investment. Okay, and when the investment rate when the interest rate is less, the firm will increase the investment. Okay, okay, next we will see the multiplier mechanism. Okay, as I've told you, see when there is change in autonomous expenditure. Okay, see for example, if there is change in autonomous expenditure of 10 units, the change in equilibrium income is equal to 50 units. Okay, so when we understand this we can understand this thing when you see the multiplier mechanism. Okay, which is explained now here in your textbook. It is given in page number 61. Okay, so the producer of final goods employs factors such as labor, capital, land, entrepreneurship, isn't it? So in the absence of indirect tax or subsidy, the total value of final goods produced is distributed among the different factors of production in the way of wages to labor, then interest to capital, rent to land, etc. So whatever left over is approached by the entrepreneur, and this is called profit, correct? Okay, so thus the sum total of aggregate factor payment in the economy. Okay, so what is the aggregate factor payment in the economy? You all know that is rent, interest, wages, and profit. Okay, so national income is equal to the aggregate value of output of final goods, correct? So GDP, that is called as GDP. It is the aggregate value of output of final goods. It is the value of, or it is the aggregate value of the output of final goods. So in the I'll give you one example. Okay, see in the example, the value of extra output, we will take the value of extra output. Okay, it has 10. Okay, and it is distributed among various factors, has factor payment, and hence the income of the employee goes up by 10. Okay, so if the value of output is 10, and if this value is distributed has the factor payment among the among everyone. Okay, so and hence the income of economy will go up by 10. When income increases by 10, consumption expenditure goes up by 0.8. Okay, that is 10. Okay, from 10 it will go up to 0.8. Since people spend 0.8, that is MPC, the marginal propensity to consume, the fraction what I've shown you, okay, of their additional income, correct, on consumption. Hence, the next round, aggregate demand in the economy goes up by 0.8. Okay, and there again emerges an excess demand equal to 0.8. Okay, therefore in the next production cycle, production cycle, producer increases their planned output further by 0.8 to restore the equilibrium. So when this extra output is distributed among factors, the income of the economy goes up by 0.8 and consumption demand increases further by 0.8. Okay, so once again it creates excess demand for the same amount. Okay, so this process goes on, okay, round after round, okay, with producer increasing the output to clear the excess demand in each ground, and consumers spend a part of their additional income from their extra production on consumption items. Okay, so thereby creating further excess demand in the next round. Okay, so when you can see, if you can see this table here, okay, it is there in page number 62. Okay, just see here, the last column which is given here, it measures the increments in the value of output of final goods. Okay, okay, and the second and third column measures the increments in total consumption expenditure in the economy and increments in the value of aggregate demand in similar way. Okay, so in order to find out the total increase in output of final goods, we must add up the infinite geometric series in the last column, that is 10 plus 0.8, okay, into 10 plus 0.8 the whole square into 10 plus, okay, and it goes on infinite. Okay, so can you all see here, consumption, aggregate demand and output. So first column it is round. Okay, first consumption is 0 and aggregate demand is 10. This is the autonomous increment. So what is the output? When the demand is 10, the output is 10. Okay, and then what happens for consumption? As you all know that because of the MPC. Okay, when you calculate this MPC, you all know the formula. How do you get MPC? Change in income divided by change in A, that is autonomous consumption, correct? Change in income divided by change in autonomous consumption. Okay, so 1 divided by 1 minus C. Okay, this is done. Then 1 divided by S. Okay, so when you when you recall this, you get 10 has 0.8. Okay, so that comes to the next point. Then aggregate demand will be 0.8 into 0.8 and 10. Okay, so output will be equal to that. Okay, and again the 0.8 will come to your next round, round 3. Okay, that is 0.8 2. Okay, and then the same will be your aggregate demand. Okay, So whatever is your agreement demand, same will be your output. Okay, so this is how it continues.